This course is about implementing Twitter on Supabase, and basically here I got a template just made for you that you can find in the description to follow this course. This is a very basic template, okay? If I type hello world, there we go, I got my tweet with my username, and also I have the hour, I have the text, I have this button down there. If I type again, okay, I've got the list of the tweet that is ordered. Everything is into the template, and also you got the trends there. But what we want to do, we want to implement, okay, all those tweets into Supabase and all the functionalities also. So let's start right away. We go to Supabase, and if you didn't log in first, you should go on supabase.com and sign up, and then you arrive here. So what we want to do, we want to create a new project. So I'm going to click on new project, there we go. And here I'm going to type Twitter Supabase clone, and I'm going to generate a password, there we go. And I'm going to take for free, because you can have a pro plan on Supabase, which is very interesting, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to take it for free. So I'm going to click on create a new project, and you will see it's very fast. The project will be created right away, and there we go, we got setting up the project, there we go, and we've got our credential that we are going to use after. All right, we've got them just in here. I'm going to click on the documentation right away, okay, and there we go, we are on the documentation, and what I'm gonna do is to start with the framework Vue, because my application is in Vue.js. There we go, I'm there, and what I need to do at first, so I'm going to get down there, I'm going to install Supabase. So if you don't get a Supabase install, I'm going to type install Supabase. There we go, I'm going to start again my project, all right. And what I need to create is an environment file with the Supabase credentials. So I'm going to just copy paste this, okay. I'm going to copy paste this and get back, and here I go to my env file, or I created if you don't get it yet, and I'm going to paste it. There we go here. I had a previous environment file, it doesn't matter. What I need to do now is to create the client. So I got the source /Supabase.js file to create. So I'm going to copy paste this piece of code. So I'm going to go here and right click and put supabase.js, and I'm going to copy paste. And basically what it does is it's just importing my client, okay, and I'm just injecting, okay, the environment variables into my client. However, we don't got them, we just got this quick example. So what I need to do is to get back there on my home, okay, and I got to find the credential, and if I get down there, I got them. So I'm going to copy paste the project URL, I'm putting here, and copy paste the API key, there we go, and there we go. Normally it's supposed to be plugged in, it's supposed to work. On my template, I got a view called login, and it's available on /login. And here I got an email. And if I go back on the documentation, and if I continue just after where we went, we have this function handle login that is calling our Supabase client. So what I want to do, I want to go back on my view, and on my view, I created a component auth, okay, which is here. And I got this function handle login to copy paste. So up there, I'm going to import Supabase, and down there I got handle login. I'm removing the comment, and there we go. So what does this function? I'm going to go up a bit there because I'm just there. We are using the Supabase client, we call auth, and we call a function called sign in with OTP. So basically, we just push the email, and it's going to send an email to our mailbox, and we will have a link to login. It's called a magic link. So I'm saving this, and if it works, I'm supposed to have a message that is handled like check your email to confirm your address. So I'm going to get back there. I'm going to go on my application running, and I'm going to type code with Guillaume at yopmail.com. All right, I'm going to copy paste this, and I'm going to click on sign up. And there we go, we can check our email. So I'm going to go on yopmail.com, which is, there we go, we got call with Guillaume. And here I got an email that says confirm your mail address. So first, let's get back into our Supabase dashboard and let's go there on authentication on the left. So I'm going to click on authentication and I'm supposed to have Code with Guillaume entered, but we are waiting for verification. Until the moment I don't click on the email, I will not be registered as a regular user, okay? So I will go back on my email, I will click on confirm your email, and here nothing happened because I didn't implement the on hot state change. What I gotta do is to catch the current session on my app.view and to fulfill my store. So when we get back there, we need to continue. We've got an account page, which is supposed to be just to change your account, okay? And if I get more down, okay, I'm supposed to have an hot state change. So basically on app.view, I need to implement my own hot state change to get actually my session. So I'm going to get back there. I'm going to go on app.view, and there we go. So here I'm importing on onMounted to call onMounted when the app is going to be mounted. Then I'm going to call my Supabase client, and down there I got also my store. So my store here is actually having a function called iUser, and I'm going to console log this user. And add user is going to mutate my store. So get back in app.view. There we go. I import my store. And all I need to do is to use the function that is here on the documentation of Supabase. So I'm going just to uncomment this, and there we go. And what it does that when we mount the application, we call Supabase, we call get hot session, and then if we get data, and if there is the store also, we are going to push to the store our session user. So what I want to do first, I want to console log my session to see how it looks like. So I'm going to go there and just remove this. There we go. And what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to get our session. So I'm going to get back in here and I'm going to go directly on my application and look at this. There we go. We've got our session there. And how does it look? It looks like a big object with several elements, and we got down there the user. However, this user will not be enough because this user actually will need to be also in another database. That's what we're going to do later. So we use our store to just store our current user, and basically when I go back to my app and I use View DevTools, I can see that on my store I just have the current user, and up there I got my C for Code with Guillaume, the first letter, which means that I am already logged in. All right, so everything's good until now, and if we go back to our Supabase dashboard and I reload, we will see that here, there we go, we are just validated, our account is available as a user. So now we need to create our first table, and our first table is going to be a table tweets. In Supabase, you go here on the table editor, and here you've got actually the list of your tables. So the first way to create your table is to use the editor that we got inside the dashboard. Here you can create a new table. Otherwise, you can go on the SQL editor, because yes, Supabase is providing to us a SQL editor, and you got scripts pre-made for different applications that you could create. So most of the time I use user management starter down there, which creates a profile directly. But we are going to do it simple for now. So I'm going to get back on my table editor. No, I didn't finish, sorry. So you can click on new query, and here you can create tables. So here you can type create table tweets, etc., etc. Well, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the editor here because it's made for that. I'm going to click on create a new table, and there I'm going to create a tables called tweets. All right. So I'm going to enable the row level security. So row level security, it's a feature that provides Supabase to restrict the access to your table. So basically here we have to write after Postgres policy if we want to get access to this table. So down there, I'm going to fulfill the model of a tweet. So a tweet is going to have an ID, is going to be created at. And first of all, this ID, I want to have a UUID. So I'm going to go here. And down there, if I click here, we see that I can use a function to create automatically the ID. And if you write a query on the SQL editor, it's going to be the same. You can use also the function. So I will have also a created at, which will be a timestamp with no. And if I click on add colon, I can add some element. So there I'm going to create a row called content, okay? And it's going to be a type of text and it can be null, of course. So then what I want to add, actually, let me get back to my edit component because there I had the model of a new tweet. Yeah, I'm supposed to have user, but later we will see that we can grab the user another way. Basically, the user, it's supposed to be user ID. So I'm going to add a user ID there, and it's going to be, of course, UUID. Okay, there we go. So I will need to add the user ID. Of course, what I need to do is to say that the content cannot be nullable, okay? And the user ID, basically, it's exactly the same. It can't be nullable, okay? So those two elements have to be fulfilled, all right? So what I'm going to do now is to click on save. And let's see if it's going to create my table. All right, our table tweet is good to go. Let's insert a row. So here it's going to be by default. This is a tweet test. And for the user ID, we can put a fake one. Here it's going to be default now. If I click on save, here I got an error. I cannot put anything else than a UUID, which is really cool. So what I'm going to do at first, I'm going to quit. And I'm going to go basically with my current user that I got here. So I can copy the user ID there. I'm going to get back. And for the demonstration, I'm going to show you. There we go. I go on my table tweets and I'm going to insert a new tweet. And the user ID, it has to be me. And for the content, I'm going to put this is a test. Again, there we go. And I'm going to click on save. And there we go. My first tweet has been recorded. How amazing is this? Okay, so my first tweet has been recorded. Now what we want to do, we want to push the tweet directly from our app to this table. So what is cool with Supabase is that when you create a table, down there you can go to the API documentation. So maybe I'm going to zoom a bit. There we go. You can go to the API docs, and when you click there, I'm going to close this. Here you got tables and views. And what is cool is that the Supabase API is providing to us directly the code. The code is already generated per table. So there on the right side, when you go down, you have options that you can copy paste directly. So what we want to do is that here I want to send this tweet to Supabase. Right now, it's just sending the tweet locally. So to do that, I will go to my edit component and I got this function called send new tweet. Okay, that is actually triggered when I press enter or when I click on the button send tweet. And what I need to do, of course, is to import my Supabase client and to copy paste one of those functions. So here there is read rows. That's not what I want to do. Filtering, that's not what I want to do yet, but I want to insert. There we go. So here we've got an insert row. So I'm going to copy paste this function that we got in here. Okay. And I'm going to get back. And up there, I have to import, of course, Supabase directly from my, from my Supabase client. And for now, I don't want to just emit this. I'm going to copy paste. And here, instead, I'm going to push what? I'm going to push my new tweet. And what I need to add is actually this user ID. So in my store, I got my user. So I'm going to put just this ID. There we go. And I'm going to console log my data. And I got an error. And if I go to my content there, we see that I got a message, new row violates row level security policy for table tweet. This is because we didn't write the policies. So what we need to do is to write the policies for our table to being able to fetch any tweet. So I go back to my table tweets and I'm going to click on tweets and I'm going to click there. So no active LRS policy. And when I click on it, we see that I arrive on another dashboard actually. And here I got tweets. And what I want to do is to click here on new policy. And what I need to do is, what I can do actually, I get the option. I need to say that I want that my authenticated user can insert tweets and I want all my tweets to be public. So I can maybe click on this, get started quickly. And there I got enable read access to everyone. I want to do it. So I'm going to click use this template. All right, there we go. So I'm going to unzoom because here we don't see anything. And I got the button, of course, review at the end, okay? So enable using expression true, and I'm going to click on review, and I'm going to click on save policy. So there we go, I got my policy that is saved. We can read every tweet for every user, but I want to add a new one, and I'm going to click on get started quickly again, and click this time on enable insert access to authenticated user only. And if I click on it, look at that. I got this policy that is generated immediately on SQL. Create policy, policy name, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to click on enable this template and enable insert for authenticated. Insert is selected because after that you can use other operation, authenticated on true. And I click on review and then I click on save policy. And there we go. So normally on our table tweets now, we can read all the tweets and we can insert only if we are authenticated. So what we're going to do, we are going to try again to put a tweet, and I'm going to put this is a new tweet for Supabase, and I'm going to click on tweet again. And there we go. It worked normally. Let's see if we have this is a new tweet for Supabase into our table. I'm going to go on my table there. I'm going to update. And there we go. I got my tweet. So we succeed to push a new tweet from our app directly to our Supabase table tweets. Basically, on Twitter, you follow people and people follow you. Then, on your timeline, you can read their tweets. What we're going to do first is to fetch all the tweets to show them in our timeline. So we go back to our API docs, and here we got a function provided by Supabase to read all the tweets. So I'm going to copy paste this function here with the star as a select. I'm going to get back to my view, and on my view, actually it's on the view home. No, it's not on home, it's on the view timeline. There we go. Here I'm going to import my Supabase, okay, client. As always, it's always the same. From @Supabase, okay. And down there, I'm going to create a function called fetch tweets, and this function is going to be an asynchronous function that is going to actually try catch finally. Okay, there we go. We don't get loading for now, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to fetch all my tweets there. So first of all, I want to console log my tweets. I'm creating a state, so now I can load my state, and then I'm going to also to create the tweets that are going to be fetched. Finally, we've got our function fetch tweet that fetch our tweets, and we push them into a ref that is an array that we pass actually as a props. And what happened is, there we go, we've got our tweets there. But what we miss the user, because in our tweet, we want to have the user model. What we want to do, we want to create a new table, and this table is going to be users, and let's create the users table. So the name is users. We enable row level security, which means that later we will be able to write our policies, otherwise this table will not be accessible. The user will have an ID that we're going to push by ourselves. Okay, so when we are going to log in with our account, it's going to create an entrance user, and then there will be a created at also, and there will be an email, a username that are non-null. Okay, it's not possible that our email and username get null. Actually, the username can be null, and if it's not fulfilled, we're going to take the first part of our email. We are going to check that into our application. So I'm going to click on save, and it's going to create my table. And again, what we're going to do, we are going to edit the policies. So here I am on my table users. I'm going to click on no active policies. There we go. And I'm going to create a new policy. Again, get start quickly and enable read access to everyone. Of course, we want our users to be accessible to anyone. So I'm going to click on review. There we go. And I'm going to save the policy. There we go. Our policy is successfully saved, so anybody can fetch the users. And I'm going to add a new one, and this one will be enable insert access for authenticated users only. Okay, I'm going to use this one for now, and I'm going with check expression on true. And actually here, what we can do, we can write a special expression, okay? And this expression will be actually that we check that the current ID is the ID, okay? You can insert only a user if you are the current user, actually. So I'm going to click on review. I'm going to save policy, and there we go. All right. So what we can do, we can try at first to insert a user. And this one here, of course, is going to be me because I'm the only one user. So I'm going to get here, and I'm going to get the user ID. And back in my not SQL editor, table editor, there we go. I go on users, I'm going to insert a row, and here I will need to put an ID. So it's not generated, this ID will be mine, okay? The email is going to be codewithguillaume at yopmail.com, there we go. And no username. So let's try, let's click. And what is going to happen? There we go, we've got our user there. What we want to do is to create the relation between the tweets and the user. So I'm going to go here on tweets. There we go. And here we see that I got my tweets there. But it's not here. I got to go here on database, actually, okay? On database, what I want to do, actually, is to click on this. So 4 columns there. There we go. I got my columns there. And what I want to do is to click here on user ID. And when I click on user ID, I got access actually on the column user ID. And I want to add a foreign key relation. I click on that, select a table to reference to. And if I go down, okay, if I go down, I'm supposed to have public users. I'm going to click on public users, and I want to reference this user ID to ID. I'm going to click on save, and there we go. So now I can catch, actually, I'm going to move this, there we go. I don't think it was the right place to be here with Supabase. I can catch the current user ID related to the public user ID. So I'm going to click on save, and it's supposed to work. Right now on my timeline, I'm fetching only the tweet. And what I want to have is the user instead of the user ID. So what I can do is to go here, and actually I'm going to put user ID parenthesis with a star, and it's going to change for me the user ID by the foreign key value. And normally I'm supposed to have the user instead of the user ID. So if I update again and I look at my model, look at this, instead of user ID, what I got is the user from the database I just pasted in with the username there. So now I got to change my tweet model because it has to fetch the user ID and not the user that I did before. And there we go, we've got our tweets displayed there with my email address that is truncated, my username, which is actually, there is no username for now. If we go back on the tweet table, we will see that on the user table, sorry, we'll see that I don't get any username. So by default, I'm taking the beginning of the email, all right? And it is working. I got my tweets. This is the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching it. If you like it, please subscribe. It really helps me. And see you for the next part. Ciao.